everybody, it's Julie and I'm your Wednesday vlogger. Today's question is do I have children? And if so, did my weight, my struggle with my weight affect them, and if so, how? And what would I say to them? And what do I say to them? I'm going to answer the first questions very briefly and the last question more extensively. And I'll tell you why in a minute. First question is yes, I have 3 children. A 22-year-old, an 18-year-old, and a 15-year-old. Daniel, Susanna, and John. The light of my life. They are wonderful. Many of you may not know that my 2 youngest are adopted. I don't talk about it much because it doesn't seem to be such a big deal, except if you meet us in person, because we don't look alike. But we adopted them because we wanted a bigger family, and I wanted to be a mom of a bigger family. And they have been nothing but joy and blessing in my life. And I believe that God heard my prayers, and I was fortunate enough to become their moms. I only wish I had been fortunate enough to be their birth mothers as well, but I am extremely and eternally grateful to their birth mothers. But okay, I'm going off on a tangent that I didn't want to go off on. Has my weight affected my children and my struggles, at least? In a way, yes. When I was heavier, I didn't really care what my children. I did care what my children ate, but I was not as uptight about. I'm sorry, my dog is banging into my bed, so it looks like there are mini earthquakes going on here. It didn't appear that I was, because I gave in, because I wanted to eat. And I made excuses for the food I allowed them to eat. But as I have gone through this journey, I've become very aware of food, and so I'm kind of more up, as they would say, uptight about food and the kinds of food that they put in their mouth. My oldest and my youngest have weight issues. I am concerned about it. My oldest, I think, is genetic and really not wanting to do anything, and my youngest is, I think, it's genetic too. So I try to find line, because I know what it's like to have people harp on you because they want you to be healthy and lose weight. It's not fun. But that I now am in the other shoe, and I'm worried about them. So it's hard for me. I want them to be healthy, and I want them to eat right, and I want them to exercise, which my youngest does really well. My oldest, who is very much like me, is very sedentary and doesn't see the benefit of exercise. He likes reading, and he likes computers, and kind of like his mom. So my youngest, not as much. But anyway, what would I say to my children? This is where I kind of deviate, and I hope you all will forgive my whole going off on a different track. And I hope you all will, if you don't want to listen, great, that's fine. But 2 really big things happened to me this past last week and just today. And it's kind of wow, kind of made my head kind of go, wow. Last week I was just shocked by Robin Williams' death. I am not a celebrity follower. I read about it as I go through the grocery checkout line. But I loved Robin Williams. If I saw him in a movie, I would always go see the movie. I think that there was a vulnerability about him, an honesty, a kindness that I saw, and he was so funny. And he was so brilliant, and I don't know. And if you didn't like Robin Williams, I'm sorry, but I'm just going to talk about him for a minute. And I was just so blown away by his death. And perhaps it was because my husband and I had a very close friend of ours commit suicide after suffering from long depression. You can see I'm still speechless about it. But I thought about his death afterwards, and I thought, well, the one thing, the universal thing that people said about Robin Williams was his kindness, and how he went out of his way to make people feel good, and to make people feel good about themselves. And I thought, well, if I can take anything away from his death, is that he was a kind person. And I will try to live up to the Robin Williams legacy of being a kind person. Today, you all might read or have seen on the TV that an American journalist was beheaded in Syria by ISIS, the Iraqi militants. James Foley worked for my husband for a brief time. And so when James went missing, I think we prayed every day for him. Sorry, I'm emotional. And I always had very high hopes that he would come home. It had been several years, and I started to get a little bit worried because it had been several years. And so I just found out the news just about half an hour ago that James had been killed. And again, I think to myself, and this is to my children, what can you do with your life to make it? We only have one shot. Sally Curtis Wimberly, my good friend, wrote today, and I'm paraphrasing her. She felt sorry for those people who don't realize that this is it. This is your one shot. This is your one chance. And I'm paraphrasing it. But what she wrote was so dead on. This is it. There is no dress rehearsal, she said. This is it. You go out and you have to be on stage. And so, what I would say to my children, you have one chance, one body, one life. You're not going to get it back. Be like Robin Williams. Be kind. Make people remember you as a kind, generous, thoughtful person. Be yourself. Make others' lives better for having been enriched by yours. And be like James. Have so many friends around the world praying for you. Be adventurous. Don't be too adventurous. Be adventurous. Find out the news. Find out what's real and what's not real. Find out the truth. And above all, be remembered for the good. Be remembered for what you did. Because that's all there is in life, is what you did. How you left people feeling. Frankly, they won't remember if you were obese. I'm being honest here. They won't remember if you were obese. They won't remember if you were uber thin. They will remember how you treated them. And so, that's today. I'm sorry I'm a little emotional. If you can take a second, if you're watching this, if you could take a second, there's a Facebook page, James Foley's Family and Friends created, and reach out to his family and express your sorrow for his passing. My husband spoke very highly of him, that he was just a very nice man. And if my children, and if I, and if my husband, we can all be remembered as kind and nice and making a difference. That's all there is, isn't there? Have a great week, everyone. Take care. It's not a dress rehearsal. Bye.